Marvel fans, comic geeks, and all the nerds in between. My name is Megan with Vigilante Vibes, and I am coming to you today with another character breakdown on a mutant that I think should get more hype. Granted, she does get a lot of hype, but she's one of my favorites, and I think she should get more. And she only has like one solo right now, and it's in between. It's like a look in the past, so it's in between events. It's not new stuff. So I would like to see her get her own solo of new adventures, new everything. So who am I talking about? I'm talking about Emma Frost, the White Queen. We've all heard about the confident and cunning mutant who does whatever she wants, whenever she wants, but who exactly is she? Emma Frost's first comic book appearance was in the Uncanny X-Men number 129, published in January of 1980. She was created by writer Chris Claremont and artist slash co-writer John Byrne. Emma Frost was born into the wealthy Frost family, a powerful Boston mercantile dynasty that traced its roots back to England in the 1600s and even been involved in the American Revolutionary War. So they've been around for a minute. She was the second of three daughters with an older brother, Christian Frost. Christian struggled horrendously. He turned to drugs to cope with the sadness of his life and the emotional and physical abuse from their father. What none of them knew at the time was that Emma and her sisters were mutants and that all three had telepathic abilities that would surface around puberty, as mutant abilities do. Emma never lived up to her father's expectations. He saw her as a disappointment. Her grades were low, she didn't fit in socially, and she was ostracized while attending Snow Valley School for the Girls. As her mutant powers started emerging, she began suffering intense migraines. Things came to a head when, during a breakdown, she accidentally knocked out the entire school with her telepathy. That incident caught the attention of Charles Xavier. He and Myra McTaggart approached Emma's father, hoping she'd attend Xavier's school, but both Emma and her father flatly refused. Once Emma started learning how to use her powers, her life changed very, very quickly. She used her telepathy to excel in everything, but her home life kept spiraling. She developed a crush on her teacher, Ian Kendall, and decided she wanted to become a teacher herself, something her father absolutely hated. When her father caught Emma and Kendall kissing outside the Frost estate, he had Kendall fired and blackmailed Emma into giving up her teaching dreams. Things only got worse for Christian after his sexuality was revealed. Their father alienated him completely, which pushed Christian deeper into addiction and eventually into a suicide attempt. Remember, this is Emma's brother. When it came time to name an heir, Christian was immediately dismissed for being gay and an addict. Although their older sister, Adrian, seemed like the obvious choice, their father chose Emma instead. Christian was institutionalized, but Emma rejected the inheritance outright, choosing to walk away and make her own life. Emma hit rock bottom. She worked minimum wage jobs, lived in a cheap Boston hotel, and even tried to use her telepathy to pay for food with a newspaper until she got caught and forced to wash dishes. That's where she met Troy Kilkelly, who she moved in with. When his debts caught up with him, Emma used her powers to win money at a casino, but the loan shark demanded more. Troy suggested faking Emma's kidnapping and demanding ransom from her father, but Winston Frost refused to pay, saying Emma was dead to him, so he is just father of the year. Troy was killed, and Emma absorbed the loan shark's business knowledge telepathically. Troy was killed, and Emma absorbed the loan shark's business knowledge telepathically. Adrian leaked the kidnapping tape to the media, forcing their father to pay. Emma escaped on her own, took the money, and moved to New York. She dyed her hair blonde, enrolled at Empire State University, and ran into Ian Kendall again. She also met Astrid Bloom, another telepath who trained her. When Emma learned Kendall was dating her roommate Christine, she confessed her feelings and started a relationship with him. Christine threatened to expose him unless he left Emma, but Astrid manipulated him into attacking Christine. Emma uncovered the truth, defeated Astrid physically, absorbed her knowledge, and saved Kendall's job. But when he learned Emma was a mutant, he left her anyways. So when Emma's parents found out that she was a mutant, they committed her to the Essex Clinic, where she was heavily drugged. She was kidnapped by the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants and taken to Xavier's school so Magneto could use her to activate Cerebro and wipe out humanity. The X-Men stopped the plan, and the evolutionaries erased everyone's memories of the event. Once back at the clinic and free of the drugs, Emma forced a guard to help her escape. Homeless and starving in New York, Emma became a stripper at the Hellfire Club, using her powers to give customers whatever fantasy they wanted. Charles Xavier and Myra tried again to recruit her, but she refused. Xavier erased her memory of the meeting. Eventually, after snapping at Sebastian Shaw, he saw her potential and brought her into the inner circle. He offed 2 women to prove his commitment and made Emma his partner. Together, they overthrew the leadership of the Hellfire Club, and Emma became the White Queen. From there, Emma's life became a constant cycle of power, betrayal, loss, and reinvention. She built a massive financial empire, founded the Massachusetts Academy, clashed repeatedly with the X-Men, survived multiple comas, trained and lost students, the Hellions, endured manipulation by allies and enemies alike, and slowly, often painfully, shifted from villain to anti-hero to teacher and leader. She co-founded Generation X, lost and regained trust countless times, murdered her own sister Adrian after Adrian engineered a student's death, survived the Genosha Massacre by developing her diamond form, joined the X-Men as a teacher, and co-headmistress fell in love with Cyclops, which I think was his best relationship. More on that later in another episode. Hosted the Phoenix Force, survived assassination, endured public hatred, and became one of Mutant-Kind's most powerful political players. She helped found Utopia, betrayed Norman Osborn, faced Selene and the resurrected Hellions, ordered X-Force to kill when necessary, and she stood against the Avengers, and she became a part of the Phoenix Five. But that's not all. After that, she lost control, was imprisoned, lost her powers temporarily, regained them back, and later orchestrated major global events, including memory wipes and political coups, to protect mutants. Eventually, Emma helped build Krakoa and became the White Queen of the Hellfire Trading Company. There, she served on the Quiet Council and orchestrated revenge against Sebastian Shaw and hosted the Hellfire Gala. But it does not stop there, because Krakoa was a wild time for Emma Frost, because there she exposed Myra McTaggart's secrets, like her secret mutant abilities. And if you want to know more about the wild lives of Myra McTaggart, just check my page, because I have a whole video about her. It's wild. She also defended mutant sovereignty, survived Orcus, went underground, forged uneasy alliances with Tony Stark, even marrying him as a cover, which I liked them together, to be honest. So, helped bring Orcus down, finally sought an annulment once the war was over. In her time in From the Ashes, which is the new X-Men reboot of the comics, highly recommend checking out, she was assisting Kitty Pryde along with Iceman in mentoring young mutants to become the X-Men they needed to become in order to combat the mutant-hating world around them. Most recently, she was involved in the X-Men Age of Revelation event, where they were X years into the future in the new dystopian world created by Doug Ramsey, aka Revelation, using an X virus. The X virus turned humans into mutants, or it just killed them. It also amplified the mutants' abilities into something even more. So it could also amplify to the point where it would just kill them. It was a horrible, horrible thing to do. With Emma, she was fatally wounded with her heart dying. So she transformed into her diamond form to keep herself alive and sought out help from her former husband, Tony Stark, who was transformed in the worst of ways from the X virus. She ended up giving her life in sacrifice to save others. But that's also X years into the future. So, it was a weird event. I read the entire event, and I still don't know where we stand. I read the epilogue. I actually put out a comic review for the epilogue that's in X-Men number 23. And I still don't know if all this happens. Or it just, doesn't. Who knows? But either way, it was a great event. Through it all, Emma Frost remained exactly what she'd always been. Brilliant, ruthless when needed, deeply wounded, fiercely protective of mutant kind and constantly walking the line between control and compassion. So there's so much about Emma Frost that she's such a complex character. That's why I take it so seriously when people do fan casts. Like, someone needs to be able to handle her depth, handle her confidence without sounding. There's a difference between confidence and cocky, and I feel like a lot of these fan casts are more cocky because they're hot, not because. There's a difference in knowing you're the hottest one in the room and having to say it. And I feel like that difference hasn't been. I haven't seen any fan casts that I personally think would justify her as a character. So, through it all, this is Emma Frost. She is complex. She is fantastic. She is a fun character to read about. And she is maddening. She will get on your nerves. So, yeah. So, like always, I have comic books for you to check out if you want to know more about her or get to know her yourself. So, starting with the Dark Phoenix Saga, that's where she first appeared. Uncanny X-Men Volume 1, 151 to 152. The Firestar miniseries. Very, very slept on, very underrated, but very fun. X-Men Phalanx Covent and Generation X. She is all up and down Generation X, so you should definitely check it out. So that is all I have for you today for Emma Frost. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. I hope you like the character now that you know more about her. So I will still continue to put all of these out all year long. You got to start the new year right, and this felt like the perfect person to start my new year of comic book character breakdowns, really. So you can't really go wrong with the White Queen. So with that all being said, be sure to like and subscribe, and have a marvelous day.